Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the Bluebeard's Bride rules by Magpie Games. This actual play is performed by adults and contains adult themes. Our content warnings include gaslighting, body horror, explicit body horror, emotional abuse, mental abuse, tense situations, murder, suicide, gender fetishization, and maternal horror. Bluebeard's Bride is a game based on feminine horror. It is meant for an immature audience. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., which may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. And now, on to the show.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I am not your keeper or your storyteller this evening, but we are bringing you an episode of Bluebeard's Bride. We hope you will enjoy. And I'd like to thank all of you listeners and our Patreon supporters for being such wonderful, wonderful people and supporting the show. We literally could not do this without you. And now I will throw to our storyteller for the evening, or our groundskeeper. Rosie, take it away.
Thank you. And right at the top, I want to let our listeners know that this is a mature game. There will be adult themes. There will be gaslighting, body horror, sometimes explicit body horror, emotional abuse, mental abuse, tense situations, murder, suicide, gender fetishization, and maternal horror. Bluebeard's Bride is a game based on feminine horror. It explores a space that a lot of games ignore and that society generally silences. So, as you're listening with us, please be aware of yourself, and if you need to take a step back, I want you to do it. Your safety is important to us. If you want to learn more about Bluebeard's Bride and the mechanics, check out the free quick start rules on Magpie's website. This is the second part of a two-part showcase of Bluebeard's Bride. Our bride tonight will marry and explore her new home. I am Rosie, and tonight, I'm your groundskeeper. Cast, please introduce yourselves.
Hello, everyone. My name is Heather Ashcraft, otherwise known as Valley Girl Heather on all the socials. I am a member of the Old Ways podcast, and this evening I am playing the first sister, the Animus. I hold on to righteousness with both of my hands, and others admire my strength and bow to my will.
Hello there. My name is Mare. You can find me on socials at Oh Hello Mare. I am also a member of the Old Ways podcast, and tonight I will be playing the Virgin. I see beauty where there is none. Others seek comfort in my warmth and delight in my obedience.
Hi, my name is Tegan, and I am playing the Fatale. I drip with sensuality from my lips. Others watch my every move and crave for me to take control.
Hi, I'm Rena. My pronouns are they, them, and I am playing Mother. I walk with authority. Others ache for my approval and long for me to soothe their wounds.
Now that introductions have been made, let's get married. My bride, my beautiful bride. Thank you for your love and gifts. Thank you for giving me your heart, your body, and your life. I will treasure them always till the end of your days. To my bride, your groom lifts and drains his glass looking at you, his blue mustache and beard wet from champagne as he smacks his lips, smiling wolfishly at you. It is your wedding day. That morning, you put on your finest dress that Bluebeard had bought for you. You bind up your auburn hair as you know he likes it. Wear a dress that flatters your full figure. And at the ceremony, he kissed you, oh so chastely. Now, at the reception, you sit alone at the high table, drinking champagne, while he talks to your guests, most of whom you do not know. But they all seem to be talking about you, whispering, giving you looks. You haven't said much. You don't think they're talking about that, at least, how you talk. The party is over. He hands you into an elegant carriage, and the gas lamps outside are lit because night is drawing near. He sits across from you, with his side against the door, and just watches you on that ride, firelight reflecting in his hungry eyes and blue hair. But Bluebeard does not touch you. He just looks, devours. And then the carriage stops. He delicately hands you out, and you see your new home. It is enormous, towering over you, multiple stories and wings made of beautiful dark red stone. And the gaslight shines off the copper roof. In front of you are a few stairs leading up to double doors. As you look up them, you see to the side and beyond the hedge that surrounds the grounds. The grass inside is dry and brown. And then you step in, entering the house. Bluebeard shuts the door behind you. It is very dark inside this entry hall. You cannot see the end of it, but you think that there are stairs? There is a table in front of you, made of a highly polished wood. A single lit lamp offers meager light reflected off that burnished surface. On it is a letter. Bluebeard takes the letter and reads it, while the coachman brings in your luggage. He then turns to you. "I am so sorry, my bride. I was looking forward to our wedding night. But business calls me away, and I cannot stay. Here, have the keys to the house. Look through everything. Make yourself at home. Play with the jewels. Make boats of any of my papers. Float them in the bath. Set fire to the furniture. Tease the servants. Entertain yourself. I do not care. This is yours as you are mine. But do not go into the room in the northeast tower. That is my private chamber, where I can find some rest from the stresses of this world. It is my private space. Please do not go in there. I will be back soon, and we will have our wedding night. You will remember it for the rest of your life." Then he hands you a ring of keys. His hand touches yours briefly. He turns, leaving, closing the door. You are alone on your wedding night in Bluebeard's estate. Your home? You are a little bit drunk. Your shoes are far too tight. And you hear rain hit the roof as the coachman slams the door behind himself, leaving you as well. The wedding present that pleased Bluebeard the most was the virgins. Bluebeard approved of the physicality of your gift and the idea of combing your scent through his beard and mustaches. This means our virgin has the ring first and gets to describe the first key. So, what do you, my sisters, want to do? I encourage you to talk amongst yourselves. The better to let me know how best to hurt you as I listen.
First things first, let's get these damnable shoes off. I don't need to wear them and seem proper anymore.
Oh, but they're so pretty. They're the prettiest shoes we've ever had.
We must look after ourselves first, and that means not damaging our feet.
Fine.
Take off the shoes and not think about throwing them across the room just because can, but instead at least place them on a table or straightened underneath the table nearby, so at least I can look at them and see where they are. Just squish my toes and know I can run around in my stocking feet without complaints from my parents. Quiet. So nice. This is what it's like.
So I imagine the bride sort of maybe bracing herself against. Do you brace yourself against a wall as you take your shoes off? Do you sit? Do you say, fuck it, this is my house, and just flump down on the floor? How do you do this?
Do the very unladylike thing. And even though I go to primly sit down, I stop and I stand up and I sit on the edge of the couch, the arm of the couch, which I am never supposed to do because it's not proper. And I only unhook them as much as I have to just to get them loose enough to just kind of pull them off and put them down on the ground and let them thunk just maybe a little bit harder than normal and just listen and just wait to take in the fact that there's no one there to admonish me. So much better.
Sisters, how do you feel about this?
Don't fall.
Oh, even if I were to, it would be my choice.
Is there anyone else in the house?
Well, it is a very big house, and I don't know. I didn't think to ask if he had any retainers or anyone to help us.
There should be. In a house this size and as wealthy as my husband is, there definitely should be at least a few servants around.
But it is so quiet.
As it should be. Yes. Proper. Besides, they had to bring the bags in and put them in the room. I don't see them. They're not here with me, so. Which is fine. That means I don't have to move them. Yes, as it should be.
Perhaps we should look for them.
Right. Oh, gosh, where to begin? And she takes the keys and rifles through them. There seem to be so many. It seems like a lot of rooms. How will we know which is ours?
Well, he did say to explore, so I say we explore. No time like the present.
Very well. Would this be the part where I start to describe a key? Or do we have other things to do?
Yes, this is where you can describe a key. So for our listeners, the main form of play is a sister describes a key. I describe a door. They go in, and we see what happens from there.
So, as I look through the rings of keys, my eyes are drawn to a bright, the shiniest one that seems to have blue and white enamel inlaid into the circle of it. It seems like it would be a very special key. Oh, goodness. Which one do you think this goes to? It's so pretty.
Well, Mother did have that blue and white enamel all through the bathroom. But then again, I suppose it's good to know exactly where those facilities are, so.
It seems so pretty if it could go to the bathroom, but who knows?
Now, you know how Mom kept her bathroom pristine because couldn't have it any other way. But again, it would be good. It was a little bit of a journey, and that champagne is going through.
Mm-hmm. So, separating that key from the others, we begin to take a look around.
Can you tell me how big the key is? What do the teeth look like?
I believe the key is about the length of a thumb. It's fine. It's a very long strand with it, with a set of teeth on it that look about as wide as one of the knuckles. It still has a separation between the circle. And the teeth look very cubic or very angular, more like little squares there as opposed to angles and diagonals, but almost like a bunch of squares put together.
Thank you. It sounded like you were looking for somewhere to freshen up. So, Virgin, looking at the keys, you pull out this small, delicate blue and white enamel that reminds you a bit of the bathroom at your parents' house. You wonder if that's where it leads, but regardless, you have to start somewhere. You begin to wander, looking for a door that might match this key. The house creaks lightly around you. You don't see anyone at the moment. And you come across a door that is done with a mermaid siren motif, blue and white. The tail of the mermaids itself is enameled in that same fashion as the key. The knobs are elaborate, and the shape of them mimics the circle of the key at the top, the handle. You look at it. The mermaids frolic in that water, some diving in, some sitting on the rocks lazily. Do you open the door?
After gasping in admiration at the beauty of it, tracing fingers along the door and then, placing the key into the knob.
You trace your fingers along the design of the door, and a trick of the light, you could almost assume one of the mermaids stretched under your thumb a little bit into your touch, but that's absurd. You open the door and step in. You see a large, beautiful brass room. It's all this gorgeous, reddish, clean metal, all rounded. There's a ledge on one side that holds some pink towels that are neatly folded. There are beautiful vials of a variety of blue shades, different styles, different shapes. You get the feeling that they're probably different lotions, maybe bubble baths or soaps. And in the center of the room is a slightly deeper space where you could sit and enjoy a warm soak or steam. You look around for a mechanism to start the shower or the bath or the steam. And you turn looking around the space, and you notice that the handle is on the back of the door that you opened. You're not entirely sure how that works, but I don't think you've ever worried all that much about plumbing. So you close the door and examine the handle, or at least you're aware it's there. But as you know, my bride, part of what draws you to this marriage is the choice, the strength of your own decisions. So you're in this beautiful room. What do you do? And any and all of you can talk. The mechanism of saying one of you has the ring of keys is just if there's disagreement, that means the holder of the ring gets final say. But I encourage all of you to be active.
I think we should have a bath. I think we should pick out the most luxurious, most beautiful smelling bubble bath liquid that we can. Yes. And I could take my time. No one knocking on the door, telling me to hurry, telling me I'm taking too much time, telling me that this is a waste of time and I should be doing other things. Oh, yes, we need to do this.
I agree. I think that'll give us a chance to get any of the remaining dirt out from underneath our nails and straighten out our hair from all of the dust and oil of the previous place we lived in.
A truly fresh start.
A fresh start.
Now this handle is on the back of the door. I suppose I don't see anything else that looks like a mechanism to fill the pool, fill the space. It would be nice to soak our feet at least to start. Groundskeeper, would you count the handle being on the back of the door as a mysterious object?
Yes, but you can also investigate the room further.
Okay.
You've only just stepped in and looked around. You are free to enter and look around more fully, or you can focus on the door handle. That's up to you.
Right. Well, I would take a look around, perhaps pick up one of the towels as it goes through, picking up a towel and just looking out. Is there a window in this room?
No.
No window.
But you're holding one of those towels. How closely do you look at it?
I'll take a moment to look at it, to examine the fabric and the look of it.
Here might be a good place for investigate a mysterious object.
The towel is mysterious. Oh boy. Ooh, mystery towels. I shall investigate the mystery towel.
Ask 2.
Okay. What about this item is odd or uncanny?
It's a little sticky. Holding the towel in your hand, it looked pink. Now you see that it was once white and that it's a little sticky. And it wasn't dyed on purpose.
Gross. I wonder if there are fresher towels somewhere else. I do have a second question. This one sounds like it's going to be great. My second question is, what memories does this item hold?
And well, you ask. The memories this item holds, you're looking around the room and you notice that the edge of the tub that's sort of sunken into the floor, you move closer and you notice that there's a bit of, it looks like hair, maybe a slight discoloration in the cleaned metal that makes up the basin. It's not sticky, but you get the impression that this area has been stained and cleaned.
Well, when we find someone else who works in here, we'll have to get them to come through and clean this all again.
That is definitely the most important takeaway here, yep.
Right. I would like to lean in closer to where the hair is. And perhaps to touch it. To see if it's hair or like cracks in tile or something like that.
You lean in closer and do you just get down on your knees to look at it? Do you climb into the tub to get a better look at the lip? How do you do this? Or do any of my sisters have suggestions?
Yeah, other sisters, what are we doing?
I would actually like to do investigate the mysterious object. What about the item? Let's just say the hair is odd or uncanny. And to the towel, why did Bluebeard keep this item, especially in this condition?
So you want to know what memories this item holds in relation to the hair? Was that the question you asked?
What about this item is odd or uncanny? Like hair in a bathtub wouldn't seem out of place, but this is obviously kind of not quite what you would normally think.
Yeah, it's... Even though the area seems to have been cleaned, it's sort of... It looks like the hair was missed a little bit. It's gotten sort of scrunched into one of the natural crevices that occurs when you put the pieces of brass together. Looking closer, it looks like it might be attached to something that is stuck in the crack.
Can I ask just a clarification on that? What color is the hair?
Auburn. Like yours.
And the second question is, why did Bluebeard keep this item? Like,
in regards to the towel or the hair?
The towel.
Well, he might need to clean up again.
Well, his servants did a piss poor job at cleaning this up in preparation. She'll have to speak to him about it when he gets back. Ugh.
I think we're going to have to speak to the servants ourselves. We are the head of this household when it comes to its maintenance now.
You're right. We should take a stand and let them know exactly who the mistress of the house is now.
But this hair is not his. Do you think someone else slipped, fell, something like this here?
Well, it's obviously from one of the servants.
Oh, so was the servant using the tub?
My husband is a well-traveled person. We are not young, innocent spring chickens. I'm sure he has had his share of others prior to falling in love and choosing me to be his wife. So I'm sure it was just the servants did not properly clean up after perhaps his last dalliance. I'm sure that he probably doesn't usually use this room. It doesn't feel like him. So just need to speak to the servants to make sure everything is properly cleaned.
It is at this point, and since you never answered my question as to how you are looking at this particular spot, I am going to say that you are kneeling and looking at it, your head over the basin. As you are looking at that spot where the hair is wedged in, you're kneeling on the floor, your head over the basin, over the lip of the basin that has been slightly discolored, maybe a little dented in a certain place. You feel a hand wrap itself in the back of your hair tight and pull your head back a little bit so that you are now staring up at the elaborate ceiling. All of the frolicking mermaids mirroring those on the door, but these look to be screaming. All of them pulling each other's hair back, all of them wrapping their knuckles around each other's throats. You can't see who's behind you or what is behind you, but the overall feeling is one of malice and ill intent. What do you do?
No, this is not going to stand. I'd like to take stock. What traps have been laid for me?
The main trap here is one of luxury, one of comfort and the belief that you can wash your sins away. But as you've pointed out, this does need a thorough cleaning. You feel that hand wrapped in the back of your hair. It rears your head back and slams your forehead into the floor, hard. You don't pass out, but you see stars. What do you do?
Fight back. Try and pull away from whatever it is holding our hair.
You wish to dirty yourself with violence. That is a ring move. Do you attempt to persuade Virgin? Or Virgin, do you pass the key?
Yeah, the Virgin.
We have to get out of this. It's hurting us. Whatever it is, we have to stop it.
We cannot stay. We must leave and let the servants deal with this.
Could we call out for help? For one of these servants?
You could. Do you wish to utilize that ring move, Virgin?
The Virgin will pass the ring to who would want this, Animus or Mother?
Yes, either, I think.
Mother was starting the fight.
Mother was starting the fight, so we will hand the ring to Mother.
Mother, it sounds like you want to dirty yourself with violence. I would like you to make a carnality roll. A hit is 7 up when you add everything together.
Okay. I have a +1 in carnality. So that is exactly a 7.
All right. So you inflict trauma as established in the list below. Do you disable, silence, or mutilate?
Disable.
How do you do that?
My sole thought is protecting us. So I thrust my elbow backwards into whatever this thing's, if there's a chest, if there's a throat, whatever it is, I'd be aiming for that area on what would be a normal human being and drive my elbow back as quickly and as harshly as I can.
Your elbow connects and you hear a intake of breath as your hair is released and somebody stumbles back from you. It is, as far as sounds of surprised pain go, more in the feminine range. What next?
Turn to see what it is.
It is a woman who is standing there seething, almost growling at you that you can't take him from her, everyone knows that Bluebeard is hers. And how dare you? How dare you be so presumptuous, flaunting yourself in front of him? How dare you? And she comes for you again.
No, I am the mistress of this house now. Whoever you were is gone. And take a step forward towards them. Straightening shoulders, lifting head up. Bring my full physical form to bear. I am not the ring keeper, mother.
We should find out who this is.
They obviously don't care about us. Why should we take this from them?
Because we don't know why they're here or why they have such anger towards us. We should find out now that we're no longer in their clutches.
Perhaps we should make sure that they are not able to hurt us first before we try to talk to them.
As you think that to yourself, you're standing, preparing to fight. This furious woman flies at you like a heartbeat, but also seems to fly through you or to the side of you. You're not sure. It wouldn't make any sense for her to actually go through you. But you turn to watch, and she seems to be holding another woman and kneeling on the floor above her, slamming her head hard into the floor. You don't remember this other woman. You also don't remember hearing this first woman enter the room. But what you do know is that you are apparently witnessing violence.
Do you still wish to talk to the mother? Because I do believe that either we take them out or we get out of here and let the servants deal with this mess.
I'll pass the key to Animus, a bit shaken.
So the woman, I take the key, the woman that went around me, because it makes absolutely no sense that she would have gone through me. So she went around me. Is she now, her attention is now on this other woman that's appeared near the edge of the tub? Yes.
Thoroughly. You hear screaming, cracking of bone. There is some splatter and some of this woman's scalp. You see it becoming lodged in the floor as the woman on top of her pulls her back away from the edge to better position herself to continue the assault.
No, she is no longer paying attention to me, and the servants fighting amongst themselves just is, I don't need to be here for this. And I will have to go find the head of the servants. So the housekeeper, the head housekeeper, or the head butler. There must be that, but this must be addressed by them. This is my place. So just so I know, to try to leave the room, I would have to propose a truth.
Yes, you will propose a truth, take a token and representation of that truth, and then declare if you are faithful to Bluebeard or if this is a sign that you should be disloyal to him.
Okay. So I would like to propose the truth that these are just servants fighting amongst themselves. They're very rowdy. This is obviously very unacceptable to the running of the household. And that will have to be taken care of. This is just because he has not had a strong female mistress of the house probably for some time, if ever. So these servants are now running amok, and this will be addressed by me as soon as possible. I will take the towel with me as my token to show my beloved husband that, what kind of state his unruly servants are currently running amok amongst the household, and how things, as proof that any changes I make prior to him returning to help bring order to his home, our home. This is why I made some of the choices that I did or will. And I believe it is a token of faithfulness because I am devoted to him, his love for us, and his desire for us to have a home together. And I will make sure that order is brought as I try to leave the room.
You leave, and I am so sorry, my dear sisters. I forgot. I just saw my note to myself, a reminder to dish out trauma. I would like you guys to take 1 trauma for that hair pulling and head slam. But you do not gain a second trauma as you leave the room because you have decided to be loyal. You know your husband will protect you.
So do all of us take the trauma in this moment?
Yes.
Okay.
You exit the room, a bit shaken, but that's a matter that should be handled by someone other than yourself. You are the lady of this house, not the keeper of its rowdy servants. They will learn that Bluebeard is yours, and fighting over him does nothing.
I will look through the key ring, because I'm guessing that's what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I look through the key ring, and I come across a rather large, somewhat heavy iron ring key. It looks like a very kind of old-fashioned, classic skeleton key, fairly thick, probably at least the shaft is about at least as long as my middle finger. Very classic skeleton key, and the ring, the part that's attached to the ring, is a fairly simple circle with a few small leaf little design details to it. Very Victorian-esque. It's kind of a heavy iron skeleton key. Probably bigger than the majority, some of the other keys. So it looks like it's either a main key to get into, any number of rooms, or probably a very large, heavy, door. Something important. This looks like it would be for like a big main room type of key. And I start looking for a door that looks like it would fit it.
So you're looking for someone of authority. Is that correct?
Yes, I am probably going to look to see if I can find the head housekeeper or head butler, head servant to address this terrible, unruly servants and the lack of cleanliness on prior to our arrival, especially on my wedding night.
How about a chance to sup, my ladies? You have a skeleton key, heavy and thick, simple, slight leaf designs around the ring of the key. And you see a door that looks stately, looks like it should be a space that the majority of people have access to, one of those large main rooms, set of double doors. Very classic, heavy wood, the sort of thing that's meant to make a statement but not be a piece of art. You slip the key into the lock, being apparently a skeleton key. It fits. You turn it. It makes a sort of snapping sound as the door opens. You enter. It is a large room, a fine dining room, with a table set in voluptuous fashion. There is food aplenty, all of your favorite dishes. There are full glasses. There are chairs set at regular places along the table. There are suits of armor that bear the crest of your husband and his household. Everything looks lit and ready for your pleasure. What do you do?
Well, this definitely appears that at least whatever servant was in charge of this set an appropriate place. Yes, this is much, much better, much more appropriate. I am going to go take a look at the table, examine the settings, the glassware, the plates, all the silverware and everything else. I'm also going to be looking for a bell, because I would think that with my husband being as wealthy as he is, the way to call servants would either be from, I've heard from my stories that I have read that wealthy people either use a little bell or some kind of bell pull to summon servants. So that's, as I examine the room and everything and admire the beautiful crystals and the silver or gold or all the shinies on the table, and I take this all in like something out of one of the stories that I've read. That's kind of what will be kind of at the forefront of my looking.
What do my other sisters make of this?
It's so pretty. I'm admiring the shinies, as I do. Just looking at the fine crystals, never seen a table set so beautifully before. And any of the adornments and such in the room as well. Just kept letting my eye catch on anything that seems particularly beautiful.
Why was this behind a locked door?
They probably locked it to make sure that those Harrians upstairs that just wouldn't come in and wreck it. Besides, it's much nicer, and much as the stories have said, that when you open these doors, it's for visual purposes. Dinner is not served until it is served. Oh, Mother, we should know this.
It's strange. Could wait here for hours while we explored. Why is it all set and ready for us? It would grow cold should we choose not to come in.
And I've not seen anyone milling about. You would think that if there were enough people to set such a table, that we would have at least seen or heard someone. They would have to have a key to go in and out as well, so that means someone else has access to keys.
I'm going to immediately indulge my senses and find a glass or carafe of a dark red wine to calm my nerves and the rest of my chattering mind.
And you most certainly find one. It is in a beautiful hand-carved crystal carafe on the table, right to hand where you would want it. You pour the rich red liquid into a matching cup, surveying the room looking for that bell or rope. Take a sip, and it has an odd aftertaste to it. The first sip, you get a delightful sort of rich red spice to it. As you lift it a second time, there's almost a bit of a coppery taste to it. You've bitten your lip before. It's a little bit like that.
I believe the wine has gone sour.
It must have been stored improperly.
Well, that goes to what Mother was saying about if it had been sitting in here for an indeterminate amount of time. Would any of this be fine to eat or drink?
It is completely improper, but considering what I've already seen upstairs or in the other room, I mean, this does not bode well. He has been away too long.
I'd like to look at the rest of the food. Is it fresh and ready to eat, or is it old and older, whether moldy or just starting to show signs of having been left out too long?
How close do you get?
Right up next to it, bending down to look at things.
It smells amazing. It smells so... you can imagine the way this would melt in your mouth, the magnificent textures and feel of it. Beautiful. But it doesn't look like any meat you've seen before. And as you're peering at one of the elaborate trays, you catch there's no one else in here with you. You were looking at the table when you came in and you didn't see anyone. So whoever you saw out of the corner of your eye, there wasn't someone else sitting at this table with you. No.
I would like to investigate a mysterious object, please. I think we're going to take a closer look at the food. So I am going to a 4. Let's see. What about this item is odd or uncanny? And whose item is this?
I'm trying to decide which of those to answer first. Whose item is this? This item once belonged to another woman. Another woman who was much the same as you, from another small provincial village. A woman that no one would notice missing once she rode off into the sunset with her blue-bearded prince. And the second question you asked was what?
What about this item is odd or uncanny?
Oh, it's human flesh.
I would like to whip our head back away from the plate of meat, and air quotes there, very quickly, the moment that thought hits our psyche, and take about 3 steps back from the table.
Looking at it now from this distance, having had that revelation and the taste of wine, the not wine, you are looking at the table, and some of the things you took for rice or exotic spices are wiggling and wriggling like maggots. I believe that was a shiver from fear, and you hold the ring, which means
I do.
I get to do something to you. Animus, name the thing you are most afraid will happen.
Thing I would be most afraid that would happen would be that the smell would tempt me so much that I would try to eat it anyway, because it smelled so good. And even though I know what it is and lives, I know from my stories that there are cultures elsewhere in the world that eat things like grubs for protein and whatnot. So even if it is human flesh, that the stories of, like, the trapped, people that get trapped in snowstorms and have to find ways to survive, so they eat. Why would my husband allow his servants to serve me such food unless, maybe there was something exotic about it? And it couldn't possibly be from someone who, carved from someone who was still alive. He wouldn't do that. He would have found, with his wealth, been able to find ways to have this created for me, specifically for me, to impress me with his wealth and his connections and his means, so that somehow he wanted to impress me that he could do such a thing. And it smelled so amazing. There had to be a good reason why he would do this. It smells really good. And I'm hungry. I didn't eat much at our wedding, and because I was so nervous and my anxiety was so bad, and I'm really kind of hungry now, and it's making I'd never tried it, and I hear about these exotic things. Maybe
I get to tell you how it's worse. You find yourself lifting the goblet back to your mouth almost meditatively, and you feel something butt against your lips as you sip, more of that coppery tone. You look down and, well, there's a beautiful set of green eyes looking at you, bobbing towards the top.
Goodness, these he had them make ice cubes for the wine to chill it in the shape of eyeballs. It's quite artistic. I things that could be kept cold, that like whiskey stones that he uses in his glass of whiskey, but he made them look like eyeballs. They're quite pretty.
I don't find this beautiful at all.
I would like to complete the Shiver from Fear. Animus, you can keep the
Yes.
ring and choose 2 from the list below Shiver from Fear, or pass the ring and choose 1.
As Animus would be forcing to that she has to keep that show of strength. She cannot show weakness, and that she will rationalize things away as much as possible. I am going to choose 2. I am going to choose. It has the bride in its clutches right now, and the rationalization that he has set all of this up to give her a very exotic experience speaks to Animus. So I guess I will take that 1 trauma.
Lovely. So you take that 1 trauma, and the horror has you in its clutches, sweet bride. You feel yourself drawn to sit at the table, and you hear someone opposite you at the table say, "Oh my, isn't this delightful?" as it speaks to you. You look up, and you see, sitting upright, a well-dressed woman in a white gown. Except her head is smiling sweetly at you from the plate. Her knife and fork prepared and balanced over the finely coiffed curls that are a rich blonde.
He did put together a very impressive spread. He cares so much and knows me so well.
Marriage is such an adventure.
It is. It should be. That's what makes a good partnership. When both sides know each other and care for each other so much that they go to any length.
And what lengths, my dear, will you go to prove yourself to him?
He brought me into his home as his wife to provide a strong and loving hand, to work together to make the best possible life. We definitely need, this house definitely needs a strong hand from everything I've seen.
The smell of decay hits your nostrils, and you realize that the finery that seemed to drape the room, moss, lichen, and mold falling across the walls, water spots, finery not. It is merely an illusion. What do you do? And I encourage all of my sisters, if you have thoughts. Remember, no one can be saved. What has happened, what you see, you cannot change it.
Who are you?
Well, who I was doesn't really matter. What I am now, though, is one of Bluebeard's brides.
One of?
Why, yes, dear. You didn't think you were that special.
I knew it was too good to be true.
Yes. On that, when she says that, I will stop. We'll stop whatever we're doing. Put our hands down, still holding the knife and fork. The knife and fork. And stand up. And the look on face would be like from one of a little confusion, of fear, like trying to hold it up. And that would almost solidify like this look of, oh no. No. There is only one bride, and that is me. I am the mistress of this house.
The decapitated head smiles at you from the plate. and says, I thought the same, dear, but really, shouldn't you just tuck in and enjoy the ride?
How long have you been here? Like this?
The head swivels on the plate and looks over at another next to it. This one with hair that's a little redder.
Oh.
The torso body sitting in the chair next to it is in a slightly less modern gown. And the first head, blonde, says to the second head, Why me? How long have I been here? I haven't been here as long as you. Redhead says, Why no. I've been here quite a while. You're pretty new. And they both swivel to look at you again and go, And you're the newest.
I'd like to move us closer, very close to where the two heads are on the plate. And I am the newest. And I am here now. You are not needed because nothing should come between me and my husband. And I would like to dirty myself with violence, please.
You have that right.
I would, since there's two of them, I would have to do this separately, or can I?
Let's see what you do with the first one, and then I'll go from there.
So the first one I am going to take up would be the one that I have been talking, that started the conversation. So I think you said she was blonde, the blonder one?
Yes.
Okay. So to the blonde, as she's just ahead, I would like to then kind of just still holding the knife and fork, just kind of put my hands on either side of the head and just kind of prop it up to look up at me specifically. So it doesn't have to look this. I mean, I want her to look up at the mistress of the house. And I will then use my fork to jab the fork into the mouth, specifically to try and stab the tongue and pull it forward so it's out of the mouth, and use the knife to slice through the tongue. I'd like to silence the first bride.
I love it. I need you to make a roll, though.
Oh, yes.
So roll
yes,
your
yes, yes.
2d6 and add carnality.
Carnality is at a +1. 5 + 6 + 1, so 12.
That is a very good hit. Well, first off, I would like you to, off the bat, take a trauma for performing this violence. Just you, Animus, please.
Yes.
Cool. So you successfully silenced them in delightfully brutal fashion. So the blonde bride looks up at you, blood starting to pool in her mouth as she sort of gags up at you. And the head of the redhead presses her mouth very close together and gives you a very tight-lipped smile that it tends to indicate she's going to stay quiet. Self-preservation is still a thing.
We should leave this room.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes, I think we're done here.
Do you have a truth to propose?
Other than Animus is crazy. No, just kidding. Cut that out.
I don't know. You might not be totally wrong. Propose the truth that the past is the past, and whatever may try to dissuade me, whether it's the inner voice of my mother coming through to try to bring me down, or those who may or may not have passed within these halls, I am the mistress of this house, and I will hold that no matter what. And that my husband deserves only the strongest and best of the women, and that is me. He chose me. And I will Ooh, what token will I take?
But he has chosen others before us. He has been married before. He has chosen before.
Well, he was a man. Men have dalliances and obviously those marriages did not work out because he still came to me.
And how do we know ours will work out?
Because I will make it so. Because he chose me for a reason. And I will prove that he made the right choice this time. I am going to take...
You should take the knife.
I was thinking the fork or the knife. Yes, I will take the knife as the token of faithfulness that I will not listen to those that wish us ill will, who wish to break us up, that I am a devoted and faithful and caring and loving wife, and he made the right choice and will not need to make any other choices beyond me.
That's some first-class gaslighting there. But you successfully leave the room with the knife and the bloody towel, both tokens of your loyalty to Bluebeard.
I would like to pass off the ring to Fatal, saying, I think I need a minute. Why don't you see if you can find us a place to clean up after that experience?
A minute, you need a month.
Instead of finding a place to clean up, I'm going to grab a key that... It's unusual for a key to be made of a soft metal like copper. The head of the key is beaten copper in regular divots and dents. Holding this key leaves an oily stain on my fingertips. It smells of petrol and coal dust.
I would love to hear what the sisters have to say to each other while I consider where to send you next. Please talk amongst yourselves.
Well, we certainly are not going to get cleaned up in the bathroom that we saw.
Are we not concerned at how this house is driving us to such violence?
I'm mildly concerned about that. Yeah. Everything that we found that's beautiful is turning out very quickly to not be as pretty as I thought. And that honestly hurts my feelings because he promised me a bunch of beautiful things, a lovely house, like all of these freedoms. And right now, all I'm finding are decapitated heads and ladies fighting. That's not very beautiful.
Well, I am obviously in either dream state or blackout drunk.
Oh my gosh, we're drunk. That's right. We had so much to drink.
And then we just had more. So, goodness. I mean, I really still think we should find the head house
We've already had enough heads, don't you think?
someone could help us clean all this mess up and get this stuff to rights. It just keeps getting worse and worse.
Oh no, we didn't get anything on our dress, did we? Oh, how's the dress?
The dress? You might have spilled a little of the wine on it. But other than that, you pluck the bit of tongue off of the ruffle of your sleeve, and no harm, no foul.
At least we didn't mess up the shoes.
We should have just gone to our room and wrote lovely letters thanking everyone for the gifts at the wedding and then passed out. What an awful night we're having instead.
How do we know which room is ours? I thought that was half of the problem. There's so many keys, and she jingles them in like mild frustration.
Actually, finding a bedroom and cleaning up and maybe taking the dress off so nothing else can happen to it might not be a bad idea. Maybe we should start looking for that. And our luggage. We haven't found our luggage. We really should unpack and just get that over and done with so we don't have to worry about it again. There seems to be lots of other things to worry about here. It's getting to be a bit much. Quite a bit much. There's quite a bit to do here.
It has been a very, very big, busy day. You have been attracted to this sort of irregular key. Fatale, did you describe its shape to me? Can you remind me, please?
Yeah, no, this is very roughly cut, as if stamped. Like the original blank is just like stamped out of a sheet of copper. So the edges are rough and possibly even sharp. And square. Sorry.
Oh, I'm so torn. Bedroom or lake? Fatale?
Either way, we're getting wet. All right, let's go to the lake. Let's go.
So, this key is roughly cut, more of a natural shape. It hasn't had any of the smoothing or finery that might be generally applied to a indoor key. And yet it's so very interesting. You can't quite find yourself as interested in any other keys until you know where this one leads you. So you wander looking for a door that seems to be appropriate. And you find a door that is, roughly cut, rectangular, has a dirty window in the upper half. It looks like it might be an outside door. You're wondering if it's a greenhouse or something like that. Not what you thought you were looking for, but you are very, very curious. You slide the key in, and as though when you slide the key home and turn it, as though you have had someone grab your wrist and tug you forward, as though you were being pulled in and through that doorway, which is absurd. It's just you, a key, and a door. But you feel yourself tugged through that door, and you stumble and fall and find yourself on grass. Beautiful, lush grass. Picking yourself up slightly, you look around, and the sky is blue. It was nighttime when you were last outside. There are some beautiful white fluffy clouds. The sun is pleasant. There's a group of people. A bit away, you hear them shouting something, and it looks like there's a seesaw or a teeter-totter by the edge of the lake. So you could investigate the lake, the group of men, the teeter-totter, the grass, or try to convince me there's something else worth looking at.
Well, you said there was a group of people, so I want to investigate the group of people. I didn't know if they were shouting at me or shouting at each other or shouting at something else. So what's odd or uncanny about that group of people?
Do you just watch or do you approach?
Yeah, let's go ahead and approach. Let's jump in.
You walk down the grassy lawn towards the group of men that are approaching the lake, and you find yourself among them. And they are all whispering angrily to one another, saying things like, "Do you know what she did to the Parsons? Did you know she cast a curse? Do you know that she has a third nipple? Did you know that she has a black cat that sups from her bloody toe?" And that's fairly weird. But in the crowd, you see one of them has a bound woman that he's dragging behind him. You approach the edge of the lake, and, well, it's a time in history when you probably would have been to some witch dunkings. So the idea of a witch dunking is that it's a test to see if this woman is in fact guilty of witchcraft. Does she survive or drown? If she drowns, surely she was innocent. If she survives, well, she's a witch, and more thorough forms of education are required. So you see this woman being dragged towards the seesaw, one end resting above the water, the other on the grass where it looks like there's a bit of rope that surely this large group of men could maneuver as necessary. What do you do?
I want to take stock of the situation. I want to see what's my social place here. What does this place demand of the bride?
What does this place demand of the bride? It demands your silence unless you want to join this woman. To speak out. Well, you can't breathe underwater any more than she can.
Okay, that's a good reason to stay back. Got it. Understood. Can the woman in the bag be the mysterious object that I investigate?
Yes, you can investigate her. She is an object in that you can investigate her, not an object isn't something you can remove from the room as a token. I have had people try that. That is written in the rules, will not work.
No sentient tokens. Got it. Understood. I would like to really twist the whose item is this in order to determine who is this, if I'm allowed to try that.
You can also just try talking to her.
Oh, I can? Okay.
Yes.
I wanted, because I was going to try to tell, like, from her clothing or anything else about her, like, who she was, like what class she came from, or like if she's from the village, or if she was like a previous bride. That was the kind of thing that I was trying to check out and see. I was thinking, like, if there's anything fancy about her mode of dress, then that would tell me more about who she was.
May I suggest that I think your question will be best answered if you take stock and ask pretty much any of the other 3 questions.
No, that's good. Okay, that's good. I just didn't want to use take stock too much. So this, you're just leading me to where I wanted to go. So this was great. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to take stock of this tense situation. And I'm going to ask, what horror here is hidden from the bride?
Bluebeard is in the crowd of men.
Oh, shit.
And Bluebeard casts the first stone at this woman. Says, "You are no wife of mine. You witch, you harlot. That child was not mine. That child had a tail. That child belonged to the devil."
Okay, so not knowing whether I'm in this dream state or I'm blackout drunk, I don't want to. I'm going to still feel certain enough of my senses that I'm not going to, like, confront someone that appears to be my husband in this situation. I'm going to... Okay, so they're stoning her at this point instead of drowning her. And my husband is in the crowd.
This must be hallucination. It must have been from one of my stories. I've had so much to drink. I've had so much stress and lack of sleep and anxiety with the marriage and the craziness and everything. My mind is just playing tricks. It's going back to this cannot possibly be real. My husband would never do that. He's kind and he's gentle and he defends me. He defends people. He's not the type to throw stones. I'm superimposing things.
He's throwing the stone at her and we don't even know.
This is the 3rd bride that we've seen that he treats cruelly and perhaps even kills. Once maybe. 2 times is a coincidence. A 3rd time, that's intentional.
I'm going to totally gaslight myself into this idea, though, because there's like a whole group of people there. Whole group of okay, they're all guys.
Who would they believe? Him or someone like us? Think of Father. Father could be someone out in that crowd.
Oh my god, where's the child?
We can't trust him.
Oh, I'm sure this is just my mind playing tricks on me. And
You
it's
cannot
probably,
explain this away. I will not let you explain this away. We are in danger.
he wouldn't. He saved me.
He would.
He saved us from our house. He said we were beautiful and we were strong and we were smart. He believed in us when nobody else did, not even our own
You are
parents.
stronger than this. You are stronger than this. You should know better. We are bound to protect ourselves, and you are putting us in danger. You should know better.
Vitalia, back me up. You always said that you can tell someone's intentions through a kiss. He wouldn't do this. This isn't him. It's just our mind. It's stories we've been reading.
I mean, it doesn't. You're right. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's daylight outside. This is a previous bride. She is currently still alive, being stoned in this very moment.
I would like you all to take a trauma as you have this internal debate and question your sanity.
I'd be using like the shield. My face, the shield. Could I do that in this? Would that apply?
You may use your face move as often as you dare. They generally have a terrible price.
When one of your sisters marks trauma, explain to her how the trauma she's experiencing is her fault, and then ask if she believes you. So, Fatale, come on. We are exhausted. We are drunk. We're anxiety-ridden. I know this is horrific, but we are... Mother always said that those stories were garbage. Father always said that my head was always in the clouds. We're projecting this. It's us. We are doing this. We are seeing something. This is not us. This is not us talking. We know this can't possibly be the truth. He would never do something like this to us.
And you know what? I completely agree with you, because this is not happening to us. This is happening to someone else.
Yes.
All right. Animus, having successfully convinced Fatale that this is her fault, if she believes you, she marks one less trauma.
You're drunk.
That's absolutely
You're
true.
tired. You are stressed. You are everything. This is you. This
I
is
also
all
hit my
on
head
you.
in like the first 30 seconds.
You did. We got our heads slammed by those silly servants. Those terrible servants. So maybe we have a concussion. It is all on it's all on you.
Yeah. There might not even been servants there. I could have hit my head on a faucet.
So are you saying that we are just unconscious and imagining things, including the talking heads on the plates and her over there?
It's probably a group of boys, probably doing boy things.
You are not pulling boys will be boys on us. You are not.
It's not right. I didn't say it was the right thing. I didn't say it was appropriate. It's not appropriate, but it can't. Think about this. A group of men, our loving, caring husband, who has gone out of his way to go to bat for us against our terrible family, and has plied us and shown us through gifts and caring and his utter belief in us. Why would he even be a part of this, even if it was a group? I'm sorry. I don't believe that this could be it. I'm pretty sure if I just find a bedroom, get a good night's sleep, get a little cleaned up, just bring everything down. When he gets back, it will all be fine. And we will find out that some boys were doing some stupid things with some frogs in a bag.
He has given us nothing. The fine food was human flesh. The walls are crawling with decay. The grass is dead and dry. He has given us nothing.
I haven't seen a gardener.
You are weak. And you are showing your weakness. You are relying on a man. A man. You, of all of us, are relying on a man.
It also begs me to question, if let's say this is all because we're drunk. If this is because we have knocked our head, any of those things, if we truly believed so in his promises and everything there, why would these terrible thoughts be in our mind? Why would terrible thoughts of those who came before us be in our mind? Why would the thought of him hurling a stone, why would that be what our mind thinks of on this, our wedding night?
Because change is terrifying.
But we were so thrilled, and we were excited.
That doesn't make it less scary.
I mean, yes, everything that I've seen since walking in this house is not beautiful. It's not pretty. It's not a good time. I wonder if even just the betrayal of him having left us on this, our wedding night, to go off to wherever he was, that sowed some seeds of doubt, if we're going with this idea of that. But I don't like the broken promises. I don't like the idea that the things he told us, the way that he stood up for us, what if it was all, what if if he's preying on us within this?
I hear you, and I think your concerns are valid, but I don't think the reality around us is very valid right now. I want to propose a truth about the room.
As is your right, as the ring bearer. Your sisters have voiced their feelings, but you are the decider in this.
I think what I'm seeing is a younger Bluebeard. And I'm going to go with that idea that this is kids at the lake and these are boys. And that maybe Bluebeard is out there and that's what I'm seeing, but it's him in his youth. And they're playing Witchfinder out there. And I'm imagining that while I'm out here at this lake and I'm hearing all of this stuff here, this natural wildlife and frogs jumping and fish going bloop in the water and all of this stuff. And I like that there is a lake on our property, and I'm going to take a river rock, because we were just talking about somebody getting stoned, and I'm going to take a river rock, and from this carefully manicured lawn out here that I'm imagining in my head, yeah, that's what I'm going to go with.
Are you loyal or disloyal?
No, this is a token of... I'm totally gaslighting myself. This is a token of faithfulness. I'm sorry, Animus is incredibly convincing.
With that decision, that rationalization of your loyalty towards the man who saved you from an emotionally abusive household where you were belittled and where you had to be the one to teach your younger sister to say no, where you had to be the strong one for her. You exit this room knowing that this is where you belong and where you will live your life as Bluebeard's bride. As you have 3 tokens of loyalty, you are prepared to consider the final room. You have traveled these dark halls in search of a truth most divisive. Each room provided you with all the evidence you desired to make that one fateful choice. Now, you stand before the forbidden final room, and you must decide. When the bride collects enough evidence to prove her husband's loving intentions as a faithful bride, she must choose to either enter the room or look through the keyhole. Go around the table and ask the sisters if the bride chooses to enter the room or look through the keyhole. We will begin with Animus. Do you peek or do you enter?
At this point, with all the traumas that she's acquired, and is probably this shy to actually shattering. And having been called out by the virgin's just kind of like throwing shade. But the mother in this last room called out Animus flat out, right there, right to her core. Called her out flat out. And because of that, because she is so, at this point, Animus is so freaking desperate to prove that she is right, no matter what. She would, not only would she open that door, she will turn the knob, take a deep breath, and go, I trust you, my husband. I love you. I do this to prove your innocence, and fling open the door.
Fatale, do you think you should enter or peek through the keyhole?
I disagree with Animus. This is a peeking situation because we were told not to go into the room, but we were not told not to peek. And technicalities are the spice of life. So I believe that's always been the saying. And that's how I will choose to remember it, because I can convince myself of anything. No, I don't think that we should open the door. I think that we should, at the most, we should peek. This whole thing has been about control and retaining our own control. And if we're going to retain our own control, we have to also respect their control. They have one little space in this whole mansion that they don't want you to go inside of. And we should just respect that. And I'm just going to do that. Yeah. I own everything else.
Mother, do you enter or peek?
Enter. Because there has to be something in here that will prove to the others once and for all that this is wrong. There is something terrible here. We need to know. There's got to be something in here that will prove to even Animus that she's wrong.
Virgin, do you enter or peek?
Though the most strained sisterly bond I have is with Mother, I will be falling in line with Mother in this. My innocence has been far too blackened through what I've seen. And only once we escape these horrors will we be able to find something beautiful again. So I would open the door.
Normally, I would say that this should be a unanimous decision and you can fight it out. And I would give you a minute to convince the Fatale, but I think I'm just going to say that the 3 enters have it. And now there is a series of questions that I ask, and I will ask them in the same order that I did the character creation questions. What were the bride's last loving words to Bluebeard before he killed her? Animus.
As she would fling open the door and witness the truth about her husband, that would basically be the last straw and would completely shatter her. She is held on so tightly. The rubber band that was everything would snap, because she has truly, truly been utterly betrayed by every person in her life at this point.
You open the door and you see a variety of torture devices, all horrendous, all with a variety of women wrecked upon them.
Her last words upon seeing all this and finally snapping, I am truly alone. My husband, why? Why?
Fatale, what room does the bride's soul reside in? Describe a room of your own horror that would befit you for the next bride to find.
I think it's going to be a conservatory, is that the right term for it? Covered in windows and glass ceiling, absolutely choking with plants. It's so incredibly humid, so incredibly thick. just those are covered in steam and condensation, that as we lived in that space, as we resided in that space for the rest of our days, we would just be, our outfit would be absolutely drenched in sweat, and we would have to wander in the dark corners behind all of these leaves and beautiful flowers, waiting for someone to enter this room next.
Mother, what about the way Bluebeard displays the bride's body makes her happy?
He doesn't cut her up like he did with some of the others. She's laid out in the conservatory on display. If you can push through enough of the leaves and enough of the flowers and this horrible humidity, if you can find it at the very center, at the heart of the observatory, laid out among the flowers, the leaves wrapped around her wrists, her ankles, growing from her mouth, from her eyes, twirling around her throat.
Bound in sweet, subtle supplication. Virgin, how does the bride disguise the horror done to her body?
Any of the wounds, anything that could have taken place in our final moments would be covered with winding vines and flowers that wrap all the way around it, that hide and restrain, that show the containment that we're in within that moment. So any of the horrors that are done almost as if we're a part of the garden, like a statue that's had ivy crawling over it.
There is one final question that I would encourage all of you to weigh in on. How does the bride punish future brides for transgressions against Bluebeard?
She would try to get in their heads. She would try to, not to warn them, but to undermine them. She would, her words and the motivations behind them would be, she would have basically become that, she'd almost become just like what she always feared, which was in part becoming her mother, or like that, where she is finally, her spirit being completely broken. Any belief that she had, that she clung to within herself, just gone, dashed. And she would try to do the same to the future brides. She would not necessarily talk about Bluebeard, but undermine whatever the bride would try to bring in, whether it was whether it was strength, whether it was cleverness, whether it was beauty. She would do and say anything that to give off that, to undermine that, to eat away, to plant that seed of doubt, to allow it to grow, because that's just from where she comes from. That was her trauma she brought in, and now it's the state. That's her world. That's where her soul lives in. Forever is living in that trauma.
And those things are heard in whispers everywhere the new bride goes, always behind her back, like the jeers and the comments others made about this bride before she was married. Never to her face, always in her ear, behind her shoulder, from the corners, from her back, always behind her.
So a type of festering mold that works its way through the walls and around the pipes and into the water and into the air and into the ears and hearts of Bluebeard's future brides. I think that is a suitable punishment. And so, I thank all of our listeners for joining us on this exploration of Bluebeard's mansion with his latest bride. I thank all of my players. You've been fantastic. And I hope everyone has a lovely evening. Good night.